Sign up to Rough Trade Club and get the best new music delivered to your door, free shipping and benefits in store. Don't miss the benefits of Rough Trade Club, from getting Rough Trade's Album of the Month in an exclusive pressing delivered directly to your door, to free shipping on all your orders and discounts at the bar and on second-hand records in store. Use the voucher code CLUB101POD to get a third off your first 3 months. Sign up now at roughtrade.com/club and get the most out of Rough Trade. Do you play in bands? I did for the longest time. And I wish that I knew that DistroKid was a thing. I don't even think it existed back then. DistroKid makes music distribution fun and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of your royalties and earnings. 1 million plus artists rely on DistroKid to get their music on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, Instagram, and all the major streaming services. When you get DistroKid, you can see a DistroKid bank and withdraw your earnings. You get notified when you've earned royalties, and you can withdraw via the app. And you can even check your streaming stats on Spotify and Apple. Get 30% off your first year on DistroKid by going to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. 30% off for your first year. That's not bad. We know it's a tough world out there. Why don't you make it easier for yourself? And to get 30% off that free year as an artist, where you get 100% of your royalties and earnings, go to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. All right, stay with me. I'll be right back after this.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
I'm 100. I want part-time jobs. I'm 100. I want part-time jobs. I've been working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 101. 101.
Basildon and Pitsea, Tilbury and Dagenham, Southend-on-Sea, Rainham and Van.
All right, you're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs with me, Giles Bidder. It's where I want to speak to interesting characters about how they go about their music and put it number one, when right now is probably the hardest it's ever been to make a living as a musician. Scott Lavene has been on my radar for a couple of years as the kind of character who's lesser seen in the UK now. I think I was brought up going to the local village pub, speaking to some randos and hearing some good stories and being open to hearing those stories. I think as life went on, that kind of happened less and less. Maybe it's a me thing, but I suspect that it's kind of all of us, and the way that kind of community and that kind of conversation with strangers thing has kind of slowly dwindled. And Scott Lavene is the kind of stranger that I'd want to speak to. Someone in a flat-roofed pub who had some tales, who was happy to share them, but not in an arrogant look at me way, but in a storyteller, an oldie storyteller way. And that's what he does on these songs. That's why he's got these fans, this audience that follow him around and feel really dedicated. We mentioned in this episode bands like the Gun Club that have that kind of magnetism that only comes from truth. That's Scott Lavene. He's got a great book out called Bits and Bobs, And some of those lyrics from this new record, Disney and Dagenham, which is coming out next Friday, are in that book. I'm pretty sure you can buy that book. Just go and give it a search. But it's just an all-round interesting character and storyteller that's worth your time. Cheers for listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs. Please leave a review if you're listening on Apple and say it's this and that and bits and bobs are nice and good. And you can rate it on Spotify. You can give it 5 stars there. That'd be massively appreciated. Thank you very much. 2000 Trees supports the show. They're a brilliant independent festival in Cheltenham, just a few hours away from London on the train. This year, the Gaslight Anthem, the Chats off Smoko, Don Broco are headlining, Manchester Orchestra, Bob Villan, Hot Milk, Hot Mulligan, who else? Better Lovers, Noisy, loads of excellent bands from folk to punk to hardcore playing 2000 Trees this year. If you want to go and spend a wonderful time in a field in Cheltenham from the 10th to the 13th of July, you can head to 2000trees.co.uk and using the voucher code 101pod. It's on Dice. There's a little bit where you put a voucher code, maybe it's called a credit code or whatever, 101pod, you can get 50 quid straight off your weekend ticket. That's at 2000trees.co.uk. All right, it's 101 Part-Time Jobs. Cheers for being here. I love doing these conversations. This is Scott Lavene coming up. 101 Part-Time Jobs. I just read your book, and I read it in one sitting, and it was a perfect afternoon read of a bit of magic, a touch of spice, touch of pepper in there, isn't there?
Yeah, a bit of darkness, bit of a laugh, bit of for everyone.
The thought I had after reading it is I thought back in the 70s, and obviously rosy-eyed glasses and all of that, back in the 70s or 60s, people with those experiences had a place to go, seemingly. And I'm thinking what you'd read about those original Rolling Stone features, and there'd be communities of music fans or groupies or however you want to call them, that kind of world where you could live and you could survive. But I think now, and you're a few years older than me, but now if you are living in the kind of in the weeds, as it were, kind of between the cracks of life, there's less and less places to go.
Yeah. Well, you used to sign on, didn't you? And get on with it.
We used to sign on, yeah. And now it just seems a lot hard. It seems a lot more difficult. Universal credit is hard.
I think there's just more people. I don't know. It was just always more of an ambition for me to not be ordinary, I think. And people, there was more people like that. Now people like to conform a bit, I think, don't they? And there's less like alternative lifestyles, I guess, like way of living. Like everything's more expensive, I suppose. But I was never, yeah. I don't know. I think if you're like that, you don't really care about what's out there for you. You just like, well, I know I don't want to do that. I'll just do this. Like, I don't really know. No one knows what they want, do they, when you're like a teenager or ever. So you just do what you don't want to do, I suppose, and hopefully you'll be all right. Yeah.
And taste is exposure. If you live in a village where there's not a certain group of people that could kind of live in the underbelly of society or live off grid, it's a lot harder than if you're in a city or there's a community, or I can think of a few pubs, music focused pubs, where people work behind the bar there, they clean, they live upstairs, and they can go away for a few months every summer and come back, and they are off grid, and they are all right because they can make a few quid working in the daytime and then spend it all at night and do the same over again.
Well, that's I'm glad that's still happening.
Well, I think less and less probably, but I mean this is I feel like I've gone enough places, and you don't see it. You just don't really see it. But maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the thing. You don't see it.
Yeah. I mean, it was just never, I had the opportunity to have like a good job when I was 18, and I did get a good job.
What was that?
It was like working in the city, like on the like futures exchange, and all my mate, everyone that had started working in the city wanted the job that I got, and I got it like not because I was good at anything, just because I was like, I guess I was quite a charming young man, and I dropped off my sister for a play date and got chatting to the kid's dad.
Joking.
And he was like, "Oh well, look, anyway." I did it for like 2 years between 17 and 19, and started earning. Like, I've never earned as much money since.
Yeah.
But I just like didn't really see the point. Like, it was really long hours. I didn't really see the point in having. I mean, I just spent it on records and drugs and secondhand clothes. But I just thought I could see my future. I was quite switched on, really, for a 17-year-old. I was like, I'm going to meet a girl. I'm going to start living somewhere, and da 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 da. And I said, so I'm just leaving. I went and became a street performer in the south of France and lived in a tent. And I was like, I'd rather be skint and have more time. I think I worked out that time is the most valuable thing, like not money. Like when I was young, and I'm quite proud of myself, really.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, "You're mad. You could be a millionaire by the time you're like 25." I was like, "Yeah, but I'll be fucking miserable by the time I'm 25, like hanging around with you fucking twat, like."
And futures exchange is where it's contracts. It's basically like shaking hands of contracts in the future on a specific date. It's kind of is it like a broker, like a stock market thing?
Yeah, but it doesn't exist anymore. It was like one of only a few like open outcry like markets. There was like 6, 7, 8,000 people all in this fucking ginormous warehouse, all like with the hand signals, and it was mad. It was kind of cool.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, it was a bit like, I mean, I was just a runner. Like I wasn't a trader. I was just,
Yeah.
But there was a load of reprobates there. No one, I got the job and I was like, should I start reading the FT? And they were just like, no. It was like everyone was there's loads of people who were just better suited for Romford Market, like selling fruit and veg. You just had to be confident, and you had to be like loud, and there were a lot of that there. There were the like educated versions. They did like I can't remember what they were called, options or something, but most of them were just louts, just.
And you dress smart?
I bought myself a nice suit from M&S, I think. I had these like hobnail boots. I bought these like really nice boots from Churches. I remember my first wage packet, but I was scruffy like, really.
Mm-hmm. It's funny how we can have that inbuilt in us, how you value time more than money, because that's something that you don't really control, is it?
Yeah. I mean, I was reading a lot of this was when I started reading the Beats and all that, so I thought a life of adventure would be much more worthwhile than an ordinary life.
101, 101, part-time jobs, 101, 101, 101, part-time jobs. And a lot of the stories in your books and the lyrics, Disneyland in Dagenham, there's this imagery of being in Dagenham and around Barking and living with your dad who passed, and drinking and getting high with him and betting on the horses and doing the crosswords. When you look back on that period of your life, I mean, did that feel like a long period of your life? Was that like a blip, or was that quite real to who you are?
I mean, I never really lived with my dad. I used to just visit him because we never really lived in the same town until near the end. For brief periods, but I don't know. Yeah, it seemed like everything, to be honest. I thought that was it forever. Me and my dad were really similar. Even though I tried desperately not to be like him, I sort of was,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was smoking weed with my dad from like age 15, and we liked the same music, he was a songwriter, and looked up to him, and it just seemed like a pretty he used to get like a job every Christmas for like two months. He worked in the Happy Eater one Christmas.
What's that?
And it was like a little chef.
Oh, right, yeah.
In the 80s and 90s, but it was like a different, but yeah, so it was like Happy Eater and Little Chef, like roadside cafe or whatever. And he lived in, I remember he used to have to like, he had this hat that said, I'm a happy chef. And he was not a happy chef. But yeah, I don't know, yeah. Well, I'm not really answering the question. I mean, it just seemed like I was just saying before, just like alternative, I suppose. But I was also wary of that, you know. I was also because my granddad was a musician and he was like the pretty successful one on my mum's side. And then my dad was a musician, but he was like not successful, you know, living in bedsits and drinking special brew. And I thought, and I didn't really know there was anything in between that. So I was sort of wary of the way, my dad lived, you know, and yeah.
It's a lot about expectations, I think, because you got your granddad who was a successful musician, your dad was not as successful, and that kind of imagery of special brew and bed sits as opposed to, you know, a clean bed in a hotel, for example, I don't know. Like your expectations for playing music, everything is, it's funny how the expectations that you set yourself end up being the goal. So if you have that idea in your head about what it might be, it's more than likely to become that. Yeah,
I guess. I mean, yeah, expectations is the key, isn't it? Really, I definitely my expectation has definitely changed when I got back into music this time compared to what it was in the 20s.
What about the last time we spoke? Because we spoke about 2 years ago, and you were getting into it. I think you were just getting into some kind of self-production in the garage, and you know, finding that balance of family time and taking your own music seriously.
Yeah, I think my expectations have changed since then, like, because things have changed. Like that album, like I had expectations of that album, just of Milk City Sweethearts, just because there was loads of like poppy, kind of like, I thought radio friendly ones, and didn't go that well. And so I was just like, that's why this one, Disneyland and Dagenham, is just kind of super weird, because I was just like, well, fuck press and fuck radio. Like, I just want to make this like eccentric album that like makes me happy. And then what happened since then is that like I've got quite a good like a decent fan base. And also since then, more people started coming to the gigs, and people reach out a lot, just send me messages saying what my music does for them and about their mental health problems, and then the crowdfunder that I did, it's like, I'm making this music for me and for them, rather than for Six Music or for Pitchfork, you know. It's like I'm less ambitious, I think. I just want to make stuff that interests me, which will probably, you know, which is fine. Like, and
that's great for us, because we need more of that. I think a person that comes to mind, or a band that comes to mind, is the Gun Club and Jeffrey Lee Pierce. Sorry, and you know, obviously, you know, a bit of a wreckhead, big wreckhead, and I think it's a lot cooler to do that and not be a wreckhead. And to have, you know, you're sipping a cup of tea, you're a big fan of Cardigans, you've got a family. That's a lot more positive inspiration, or inspiration's a big word, but it is inspiration. But that's how we live. That's how humans live. We look to other people, and the records are included in that, and the people behind the records, and that kind of gives us reason. That gives us purpose in life. So I think it's brilliant that you're seemingly living a healthy life whilst being able to let your freak flag fly musically. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can sort of be a bit boring and make great music, I think, you know.
But it's not boring, mate. Ever since I got a flat and live with my girlfriend and get a cat, and I wake up and when my head hits the pillow at night time, I think about the coffee in the morning, I feel more galvanized than I ever did going to the pub every day or doing whatever.
That's true. There's nothing more boring than sitting around fucking drinking by yourself.
Well, this is the thing, and same with drugs. Now, I never got too big into that stuff, but my friends that did, I would be bored hanging out with them because it's the same thing every day.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, you live your life, you know, it's more about longevity for me. I just want to, you know, make loads of great stuff. And because I had like 10 years where I was like off the radar, like mentally really. And
yeah,
I'm making up for that. And I just I love writing tunes. Like I've got got this one coming out in May. I've got 2 new albums on the go. Like
brilliant.
Right. And I just, you know, there's been a 2-year gap between this one and the last one. I don't want that to happen again. You know, now I've got my studio in the garden. I can just churn them out.
Yeah, quality. And what's your routine like when you wake up? What do you do? What time are you getting into the studio?
Well, never at the moment, just because got a job, and my missus has got a job, and I've got 3 kids, so I get basically 2 days a week that are like mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just got other stuff to do at the moment. Like I've just got too much stuff to do. But I basically like I write in the evening. I wake up in the morning, sort the kids out. That's the only thing. I go swimming down the pool if I can.
Yeah.
But I've always got my book out, like my little notebook, and I've always got my phone for recording ideas. And I write songs in the evening. We set up the studio last week with Ben Woods from the Golden Dregs. I think you.
Yeah.
He come down and help me set up, and so yeah, it's all ready to go. So basically, I was planning on doing it in the autumn, maybe winter. It's got to find it. I'm bidding on a 70s Premier drum kit at the moment. Like it's really, really small, but I'm just going to stuff it full of gear.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I mean that routine will probably be I'll have 2 or 3 days a week to record, but that's great, really, to be able to do that because I've got a part-time job, and that's evenings. So,
what's that doing?
So I work in a detox house.
All right.
For people in their first week of when they're in rehab, basically. So,
okay.
Yeah, so it's like start at 5 p.m. and finish at 9 a.m. Give them meds and have a chat, and it's pretty great job, to be honest. Like,
yeah, you suit it well.
Well, I've been through that process, so I think it gives people hope if someone's come out the other side and they're living a normal life.
Yeah,
I like a chat, really, you know, and I like hearing people's messed up stories as well. Yeah, I mean, it's a poet's job, really. Like, most of the time I like watch a film with them, like I watched Jaws last week. And I just do bank work, so I'm not contracted. So like I don't have to take holiday when I go on tour. I just say, look, I can't do these 2 weeks, and sort of perfect, really. If I'm even doing it.
Yeah.
I sort of love it.
Where are you? What town are you in?
Well, I'm in Southbourne, just outside Bournemouth, down the coast a bit.
And a lot of these people, I mean, I'm sure you're not allowed to speak about these people. Are they all kinds of ages?
Yeah, from like 20s to 60s. Yeah.
Wow. People who got into it late.
Well, so it depends, really. You know, some people, mine was sort of a steady progression, I guess. Some people have a very slow progression. Something happens, a death, and they, you know, whatever. But it'll take, I mean, all sorts, you know, very, you know, I mean, I got funded, but now, and there's not much funding anymore. So the people that go there, you know, you got to at least have someone paying for it yourself, or someone's paying for it. So people, which is kind of good in a way, because if you're going there, you really would need to be going there. Yeah. You know, you want to go there and change. So yeah, it's good, really. It's like you get to see people, like, hopefully in the first stages of their new life, you know, away from booze and drugs. So yeah, it's sort of an honour, really. And being there, you're not really, you say it's a poet's job because you're hearing these stories, you're seeing these people, you're seeing these personalities. I imagine you don't have to
disengage with your home life or your writing life when you're there. You know, it's all in there. It's all one life for you.
Yeah. And I get a bit of time to do writing, you know. Yeah. But I just think it's, I think I'm a sort of a hoover of people's emotions, you know. It's like, I love, I think it's nice to hear about pain, like not in a sadistic kind of way. Like it's just, I just like everything about life, you know what I mean? Like, and it's very rare that people, I mean, it's more common these days, people sharing about pain, but it's just, I think it's just good to hear it, and good to, you know, hear other people's pain. Because I used to think that pain was just awful, like it's the work, you know, but I feel so bad and oh my God, like but actually pain has a real, like, pain is really useful. Like without it, pain, people don't change. Like, so I want people to come in that place like absolutely battered, you know, like, because they're the ones that actually change. You know, the ones that are just like, oh, you know, I'm having a bit of a rough time, but I can sort this out myself and blah, blah, blah. It's like, see you next year, you know, where like I had to be in an extreme amount of pain and, you know, in order to change. And I think, you know, so I do think pain is really useful.
I think there's something to say for having a skinful of life and being open to everything. I think it's really easy to close ourselves off to life and its experiences, and that's such like an overwhelming thing to even to say or put into words, right? But you know that feeling when you're open to it. And I think a big thing is not being scared to try new things, not being scared to find out and ask questions. It could be, you know, no matter who you are, I think life is scary, and so to open yourself up to it, you do get rewarded from that.
Yeah, I was tempted to do jiu-jitsu, but I'm not really violent by nature. And
self-defense though, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and quite honourable. Seemed appealing, but yeah, there's a place around the corner from me that does it. But my wife's cousin was like heavy into it. I think he actually competed and stuff, like MMA and all that. And he kind of put me off by saying you'll just end up like having your face between some stranger's asshole on a Tuesday night. And I was trying to like bend your leg round a bit. I mean, yeah, what talking about that? Oh, trying new things. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of life. There's a lot of life out there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm really guilty of it, just being comfortable, like, you know, but but I guess you got to put yourself out there, like, because I guess things that I do, like going on tour and doing gigs, like a few years back, I would have just been like, there's no way I'm doing that, like me alone in a car, like, going to towns I've never been, like, you know, I would have found it absolutely terrifying. But I think like you got to fight. I had to fight against fear a lot. I was terrified of everything, and these days I'm not afraid of fuck all, you know. I'm just up for it, you know.
Brilliant. Where do you think you're at in, because I often thought like playing music is such like a thing we hold in high regard, and we have expectations for ourselves, like we were saying, and I suppose you never really understand a situation until it's in your rear view mirror, until you're looking back on it. How would you, if you had to try, how would you sum up where you've been the last year? I mean, from a fan's perspective, it's been awesome for you to make your own world, to build your own world slowly but steadily. You're doing those occasional support shows for Craig Finn and the Hold Steady, which is a perfect context for Scott Lavene, for you and your music, because fans of the Hold Steady like a good tale, they like a good mythology around an artist that is firmly based in reality, you know. How would you sum up the last year?
I mean, I've just had the best shows of my life. Like it's basically felt like I quite happily stop and be like, that's been a ride, you know.
Yeah.
Like
Great.
I playing in New York and like doing that because I you know I'd only ever like playing to there was more than 1,000 people when I supported the Hold Steady at Electric Ballroom. That is just bizarre. Like it was like an out of body experience. So
And
like
people got down early for it.
they did, yeah, and they were banging up for it. And like, I mean, I'm good with the crowds. Like I'm pretty like I feed off of that shit. So I just had them all at it. You know, I was taking the piss out of them and so yeah, to feel that, and then End of the Road was the same. That was, I reckon, that was 1,000 people, and everyone came early, like. So yeah, the last year had been mad, and actually, I said like I've become less ambitious, but that's not true. Like, I guess I just don't have like a wild ambition. Like the fact that many people came to see me at End of the Road, and the feedback I got from that, and being on tour with Craig, like, you know, because obviously he's a singer in the Hold Steady and they do big gigs, but his solo stuff is not obviously like it not as big a venues. But it's like I was just like, I'm probably not that far off being able to do tours like this. You know, I'm doing like 100 capacity, 120 capacity venues, and he's doing like 200-300. I'm like 2 or 3 years could we actually be doing this? And that's like they do a few tours a year. Like might not have to have a job. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden you're selling like a good amount of bring out an album every year. It's like this could actually, you know, start to think about the financial side of it, which is probably not healthy.
Well, but money is still, you can kind of, it's not unhealthy if you can look kind of objectively about it and kind of take the emotion out of it. You know, like, oh, wouldn't that be great but if you're like, okay, well, a 200 cap venue, you know the fee and you know what you could take home, especially being one person in your car going around or paying a couple of session musicians.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like the tour in June, I'm doing half of it myself, up north. And then I've got a mate, called Ryan, who's in a band called Mumbletide. He's doing the second week with me, the sort of southern bit. So it's nice to break it up. But yeah, I mean, I listened to your one with Bill Ryder Jones a few weeks back, and it's like you think of these, like, because I love Bill Ryder Jones, and I know he's got a studio, and you just think like, you know, he's probably doing all right. But he was saying he's always skint, like.
Well, it seems like everyone's always skint in England.
Yeah, but then he goes on tour with a big band. Like, Bill, just take your guitar, mate. I'd be happy to hear him just play his songs. You know, like being on tour with Craig. Like when I toured with him before, he was with a band, and it was amazing. But this time around was so much better. And I told him, I was like, you know, and he sort of come to that realization as well. He's like, I've already got a band, like the Hold Steady. Like, why am I going on tour with a band? And I was like, and actually, people want to hear your words. Like people want to hear the words in the song, and people don't come to see me to listen to the albums like as sound as they are. They come to hear the weird stories and hear me talk shit in between songs. Like, so I can get away with a drum machine, you know.
101 part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs.
Hey Scott, the new record coming out on the 10th of May, Disneyland in Dagenham. It's great. It's more stories. It's more storytelling. When you write a track, because reading that book, and remind me what the book's called again. I've got it right next. It's in the other room.
Bits and Bobs.
Bits and Bobs. That's it. When you're writing a song, do you ever is it equal song and equal story when you're writing the words?
Don't know. It depends. I mean, some come out as stories, and I know, like, I mean, I write a lot of stories, basically. Some of them will lend themselves to a song, some won't, I guess. I mean, Disneyland in Dagenham was always a song, because, like, the title or the chorus is about the A13, and then I just fitted in that weird story about buying speed. But But yeah, like sadly, I'm not Steve McQueen. That came out as a song. Yeah, I mean, they always start out as there has to be a theme. Like each song has to be like, oh, that's going to be about that. That's going to be about that. I'm terrible at just writing like a song that's just like doobie doobie doo that doesn't really say anything. Do you know what I mean? I kind of wish I could, but there has to be some kind of emotional like anchor, or you know, something. Yeah, I was driving. I took the kids to school by bicycle this morning. On the way back, I just started. I was singing to myself, and I started singing. I got a boat. I got a boat. I got a fucking boat. And because there's some boats, and there was a guy with a jumper tied around his neck and some like boat shoes. And so I was just like, yeah, I've got a fucking jumper around my neck and some slip-on shoes. I've got a boat. I've got a boat. I've got a fucking boat. And I was like, there's a song. There's a new song. Love it. Recorded it on my phone. I think I want to make a sort of a punky album. So I've got another one as well called I'm Going to Smash Up Your Electric Car.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just jealous, really, because I wish I could afford an electric car because I like the way they sound.
Ooh, it's quite scary, especially it's like the scooters that don't make any sounds, or the electric mopeds. It's just scary, isn't it? You need to hear the hairdryer sound. You got to know who's left and right of you.
Yeah, I know.
What car have you got now?
I've got a 1989 Volvo Estate.
Yes. Yeah, is that the one you go around in?
I will be going around in that, yeah. Have I been on tour in it? No, it's currently having a new fuel tank fitted. So.
It's a long one. It's one of those long ones.
It is, yeah.
Quality. And so how much is that costing you?
What, to get...
A year? Well, a year to just upgrade it.
How do you mean?
Well, if you're putting a new fuel tank in it, is that quite a lot?
No, not really. It's like 400 quid for a new fuel tank. Well, it's leaking. So, I mean, over a year, like the amount of fuel that leaks on the floor when I drive around in it.
You're saving money.
Saving money, yeah. I went on tour, luckily, so that money's paying for it.
Great.
Yeah, because I'm going on tour in it in June, and the fuel gauge don't work and the fuel tank is leaking, and I feel like two very important things before you go away.
I like that. Like that a lot.
101.
Hey, just to end with, I always ask people this, and I asked you last time, I'm sure, but with work fuck-ups and work mistakes, have you had one since we last spoke? I guess we can open up the question to you a little bit more, and it could be Scott Lavene related as well, or family related. And we're talking about fucking crashing cars. What's the most recent gaff you've made, you reckon?
Any big gaffes? I mean, any work ones I probably shouldn't talk about anyway.
Yeah, don't do that.
I don't think I've made any big gaffes like that.
Gaff free.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I leave the front door open all the time. Open.
By accident.
Yeah, like wide open, and I'll because we got a high street, like Southbourne High Street, like 10-minute walk from here. Yeah, did that a couple of months back.
Well, as in you'll be walking back from the high street with the milk, with the shopping, and you'll open the door and you'll just sort of forget to close it behind you.
No, I'll go out.
The other way.
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd you do that?
You tell me, Giles. Yeah, so I came back with a loaf of bread and a pint of milk or whatever, and the door's wide open, and my first thought is, shit, someone's burgled the house. And it's like, hello, no one else in, like the kids are at school. I was like, I think I did it. So, I mean, just forgetful gaps as well, I guess. Like that's the only ones I really do. Nothing that exciting. I mean, yeah. But I broke my foot.
How'd you do that?
Like a proper dad injury, like back heeling a football, like showing off in front of the kids.
How'd you break your foot back heeling a football?
So I went to back heel it. It got caught in my foot, and
on the way down.
Yeah, and then my ankle went like that, and I sprained my ankle so bad that it ripped up the metatarsals in my foot. It was so ridiculous. Like, my best mate was down from London, and he was in the garden with us, and he thought I was pissing about. He was like, "Get up, you fucking idiot!" Like, ugh. And I was like, "No, it really hurts." Yeah, my missus was pregnant. She was furious.
Gutted. You're getting an old man now.
Well, I'm pretty fucking fit as well. That's what I don't really understand. It was just one of those
if you're swimming
things. Just a stupid injury.
Yeah.
I'm still fearless, so nothing's going to stop me.
We remember, when I say we, me and my sister and my brother, we remember when our dad was doing the gardening and he put a fork through his foot.
No.
Through the boot, and he just spurted with blood. And we were just like, ah!
Got to do shit like that, I think, isn't you? Like,
oh, yeah, of course. And it's just going to happen. I think the best way to go through life is to expect those things to happen. Because when they do inevitably happen, you'll just be in a slightly better position to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, I have way less injuries now than I used to have. Jeez.
You're playing it safe now.
I was always injured.
Hey, Scott, thanks for the chat. I'm a big fan. I love your music, love your stories. There's no one like you. Keep on doing it.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm a big fan of yours. I listen to all the podcasts. It feels nice. I listened to the Neil Finn one last night. I was like, shit, I'm going to be on that.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Scraping the barrel with me.
No, it's all storytelling. It's all people.
Well, that's what I love. Is the fact that you have people like that, and like Kurt Vile and stuff, and then, you know, people that like established people, and then you have like, you know, people that are up and coming that have still got jobs. Like, it's just interesting. Yeah. Like, it's just super interesting. Big
time. They're all people. It's as simple as that, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's all skin and bones. Sounds like a Kinks song. So there he was, Scott Lavene on 101 Part-Time Jobs. Cheers for listening. Great stories. Do you know what? I should have asked him more. I should have scratched the surface a little bit deeper then. But next time, I feel like he's going to be hanging around. Disney in Dagenham is out next Friday. You can pick it up wherever you get records, and he's selling it on Bandcamp. He's the kind of person that it actually really makes a difference to him personally when you pick up one of his records. I don't know if that's a silly thing to say, because of course whenever you pick up any record it affects someone personally, but I feel like Scott Lavene, it's kind of a palpable feeling of picking up one of his records, or Bits and Bobs, his book of poems and lyrics, and all the rest of his records. Scott Lavene, 101 Part-Time Jobs. Cheers for being here. I'm going to Liverpool tomorrow. If anyone's in Liverpool, please let me know. I'm out there looking for a friend, and also seeing as many bands as I can at Sound City. Give us a shout if you've got any recommendations of bands playing at Sound City. Maybe I'll be seeing them anyway, but do let me know. Instagram 101 Part-Time Jobs Pod. YouTube now, we've got a video interview of the Neil Finn from Crowded House episode up there if you'd like to watch it. And yeah, more video stuff. Cheers for being here, and be back next week with episodes, interviews from Sound City and some more stuff. So, all right, keep up to date. Speak to you soon.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.